Locked on Buckeyes, and love it. I've been doing it for a few years now. I've been podcasting since May of 2019. It was Mother's Day that year that ended up starting my own podcast, and then recently started a job here in Kokomo, Indiana, covering sports, local sports, high school sports, college sports, the semi-pro scene as well. Busy, man. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being a talking head, and I love Ohio State football. All those things go hand in hand.
Here we go. And we're going to talk a lot about Ohio State football tonight, especially on this night. So I want to go over a little bit about one of the elephants of the room, and that's the quarterback situation. Kyle McCord. Now, Ohio State's kind of sticking their guns with him for right now. What's your take on that so far?
I think he's won the job. I've been Kyle McCord all off season. I thought McCord was going to be the guy to win the job, and then Ryan Day said, "Hey, we're going to let this quarterback competition, quote unquote, go into the regular season." I thought that was a really odd and weird decision to make. I think, by the way that he handled it in season, it was more Kyle McCord's job to lose, not an even battle. McCord's proving to everybody he deserves to be given the right. And 3 games started this year, he started 4 games total in his career. We're finding a guy that more he plays consistently as a starter, when he knows that the job is his, and he's not looking over his shoulder to see if number 33 is going to come onto the field in kind of a backup role. This offense can be special. Now, I don't know how special it can be or if it'll be a consistent thing, but in spurts in a game, you can see special things from this Buckeyes offense with Kyle McCord as the starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun watching a little bit of McCord on Saturday night on NBC. But I want to go over a little bit about not so positive stat, unfortunately. The third down conversion rate on offense. Now, it's 93rd in the nation. And the other day, I was on a show for the Big Ten show, and I was talking with a guy, and he's like, well, third down conversion rates don't matter in this early part of the year. And I'm like, what? Say that to Notre Dame. They will chew you up like a chicken nugget.
They do count. I mean, these numbers, they don't tell you the big picture for the entire season, like for long term, like the third down conversion rate right now, the first 3 games for the Buckeyes, is that going to be the end all be all for the rest of the season? No. Like, that only tells you a snapshot of what's happened so far this year. Buckeyes have done better in that. They did better in that category against Western Kentucky. But no, it was a cause for concern. I wouldn't say it was like the worst thing in the world, but it was something that definitely, like, if you're talking to Buckeye people, yeah, you're curious and wanting to know why in the world is this category, why in the world are you struggling to get to move the ball on third down? Also, defensively, the same thing. Why in the world at times are you not getting off the field? And the Buckeyes defense has been, to me, like the best unit overall on the entire season. If they're struggling to get off the field on third down early, yeah, it could hurt them. But, man, they fix things quickly against Western Kentucky. And that offense that has pros on it really struggled to move the ball consistently for Ohio State. So, yeah, the third down conversion rate, I knock some things people say. And that one there, that comment about the third down conversion rate, talking about how it is right now, I would not say that. And there are reasons why I am against that statement being made right now at this point of the season.
Well, and I looked at Notre Dame's third down conversion rate. They're 10th in the nation. And now I'm looking at the third down stops. Notre Dame's 28th in the third down stops. And the Buckeyes are 35th in third down stops. They're going to be going up against some really good key guys in Sam I Am Hartman and Audrey Estime.
Yeah, man, no, you're right. No, those numbers are great. The one thing about the Buckeyes defense is they've been consistently good all year. Indiana, a lesser opponent. Youngstown State, lesser than Indiana. Western Kentucky, the better, maybe overall offense than all three. But they've been consistently good all year. And so for the Buckeyes defense to be going up against the Notre Dame offense that has been pretty good in this category, that's great. I have a strong belief in this Buckeyes defense. Not as strong as I would like for it to be, or how it may be in week 6, 7, 8, 9, getting more games, bigger sample size before making big, bold declarations about this team. Ultimately, for this team here, man, I'm just excited for the defense and how they played. It's surprised me. And I think they're up to the task of slowing down the Irish offense. It's going to be a battle all 4 quarters, but I think they're up for the task.
Well, you've got very good reason to have a lot of faith in the Ohio State defense because they are second in the scoring defense and points allowed per game. That is pretty big right there.
Oh, dude, let me think about this really quickly. Buckeyes have played 3 games. They've only allowed 2 scores in one of those games. That was a game against Western Kentucky. Only given up 1 touchdown on the season. And was it 2 field goals, I think? I think so. But no, dude, this scoring, it's so hard to score on these guys. When you have a guy in Jermaine Matthews Jr., a freshman, comes in fourth quarter a week ago, gets a pick 6, goes out the sideline 50-plus yards, you're like, oh. And in the moment, like I saw him prior to that, he was doing a good job of defending the receiver that he was locked up on in one-on-one coverage prior to that pick 6. And you have Denzel Burke, interception, playing phenomenal ball right now. The interior of the Buckeyes defensive line is maybe one of the bigger surprises in how well they're playing right now. Tyleik Williams, probably future NFL player. I won't say future first-round pick yet, but if he keeps playing at this clip, we could be seeing a Buckeyes defensive tackle in the first round coming up very, very soon. Michael Hall Jr., Ty Hamilton, and the other boys there. This defense is solid. It's good, and I think they're ready for the Fighting Irish on Saturday night.
Oh, man, I'd hate to be on their bad side. I mean, I want them going at me. Will indeed says, "Go Irish, beat Buckeyes," and he says, "Yum, I love chicken nuggets." And he also says the Irish offense and the Buckeyes defense has improved.
Oh, he's right. He's right. For the Irish offense, you would say yes, it is a foregone conclusion that it's going to be an improvement with the quarterback. Yes, but the quarterback can only do so much. That team overall on offense, I watched some clips of them earlier from the Central Michigan game. Those receivers can get open. They can move a little bit. They can get connections with the deep ball. I watched a lot of the game against Navy. What do we find? That offensive line can move people. So you're telling me that they got a guy in Object estimated behind a big, massive offensive line for Notre Dame that can move the ball and move people consistently. Okay, good. You got a guy in Sam Hartman that can sling that ball all around the yard. You got receivers that can get open against almost anybody. That's a really good offense. This Buckeyes defense, it's not perfect. It's not ideal. There are things I want to fix with it. But this Buckeyes defense is really good too, and I do think that is one of the battles, one of the easy battles to discuss with this matchup. But I do believe it is one of the best X's and O's matchups for this entire game. Because we're going to see for 4 quarters what the Buckeyes defense is truly made of, what Notre Dame's offense is truly made of, what these coaches are made of. I do believe this is what we watch college football for. Just so happens that the Buckeyes and Notre Dame, 2 teams that are playing for only the 8th time in the history of the 2 schools, we're seeing it in prime time on NBC.
Oh, yeah. NBC.
There you go.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Will Indy says Chris Tyree will get open.
So I'll tackle some of these topics. Get open. How open? Is it a yard? Is it 3 yards? How big is the throwing window? And I'm only saying that because I think you're going to see emergence of 2 guys playing a lot better ball. Davidson Igbinosun and Jordan Hancock. And so, how open are these guys going to be? Just gotta wait and see. Buckeyes defense is good, man. These backers, these DBs, they can cover. This is going to be getting open is cool, but yeah, if it's a half a yard, that's not really what you want in that situation.
Yeah. Well, I will say, besides the 3rd down conversion rate on offense, what are some of the weaknesses we need to look out for on Saturday that the Buckeyes have? I know that one of the strengths that you mentioned is the defense, but I got a pretty good idea. Marvin Harrison and the other guy, I'm forgetting his name, but think it's Mika or somebody.
So the other, you say you want strengths or weaknesses?
Both. But we'll
Okay.
start with the
Okay.
weaknesses and we'll end it with the strengths because I like to start things off on a bad note, end it on a good note, so to speak.
Let's make it happen. Strengths for the Buckeyes offensively. Weaknesses for the Buckeyes. Let's go with defensively. As good as it is, I still wonder if they have an above average pass rusher or even an average pass rusher at defensive end. Not even like, and I'm not saying like getting hurries and getting pressure on the quarterback is one thing, but at some point you got to get home. At some point, Sawyer, Tony Malowau, Caden Curry, Mitchell Melton, I think he actually got a sack over the weekend, this past week. These guys have to get home and get home consistently. And so the pass rush of Ohio State at the defensive end position needs to be better. Offensively, weaknesses, I think the only true weakness is the offensive line, who played a lot better in week 3 than they had in weeks 1 and 2. But you have to keep getting better. You have to keep improving. You have to keep advancing your communication. You have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to know pre-snap and post-snap what's going to happen pre-snap and how to alter your bad read on pre-snap to the post-snap so you can keep your quarterback upright or move the ball down the field by being a blocker for your running back. And so I do think it's the offensive line. The one interesting note about this offensive line for the Buckeyes, 3 of the 5 starters are new starters at Ohio State this year. Left tackle, Josh Simmons was a starter at San Diego State, but he was a right tackle, not left tackle. Josh Fryer is a right tackle, new consistent starter. He started before, but a consistent starter. And then you have Carson Hensman, the new starting center. It's going to take most of that unit, 4, 5, 6 games to really get a good handle on how they're going to handle in-game situations, back-to-back plays, back-to-back series, things like that. And so I don't want to say like, oh, the Buckeyes offensive line is going to be X or Y week 9, week 10. Can't do that. Don't have a good enough sample size, big enough sample size to make statements like that. Strengths, though, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. The other receiver you mentioned was number 2, Emeka Ibuka. Those are the guys on offense. Like, they are not the engine that makes the offense go, but those are the guys on offense. Kyle McCorza can sling that thing, man. He's a good guy, accurate passer. One of those guys that you look out here and say, he's playing a good game. What's his completion percentage at the end of the game? How many incompletions does he have? You're like, whoa. He looked good, but he didn't look that good. And I think what he does, he finds a way to take what the defense gives him, finds a way to connect to his guys. Ibuka, Fleming, Stover, Harrison Jr., G. Scott Jr., and the others, so that consistently they're moving the ball down the field. And it just seems like at times it's seamlessly moving. Now, the Buckeyes also have to stop shooting themselves in the foot because they have some times on offense where numerous holding calls, some that should not have been called, but holding or an occasional false start or illegal hands to the face really derail drives. Some of them erase touchdowns. And so if you take away the penalties or you lessen the penalties, this Buckeyes offense is going to be good, man. I think game 5, 6, 7, we'll be looking back and saying some of the early season struggles were just due to guys not having a lot of activity and a lot of run and clock and playing time with that unit on the field at Power 5 level. Once they get some playing time under the belt, man, this offense can be good. Another strength for this team is their 2 linebackers and Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers. Eichenberg was a guy a year ago. Many Buckeye fans were saying he should have been an All-American. He was one of the better linebackers in the country. Still a really good linebacker. Not going to knock that. He can definitely be a consideration. It should be for All-American at the end of the season. The other guy, though, his running mate, Buckeyes run a 4-2-5, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. You have a guy there in Steel Chambers, more athletic than Tommy Eichenberg, as rangy, if not rangier, than Tommy Eichenberg. And they play together and they mesh and gel so well. Both guys are phenomenal tacklers in space. One thing from the Western Kentucky game that I noticed, I know I'm going a little bit longer with this explanation. I'll end this shortly.
That's all right.
But
You go as
anytime I
long as you
looked
need
up,
to,
if there's
man.
a ball in space, if there's a ball that's out in space, right side, left side, you can bet number 35 or number 22 is right there with the tackle. They were 1-2 in the tackle categories a week ago. I believe Eichenberg had 10, Chambers had 8. I think Chambers did some other things, forced fumble, something like that, to be a stat sheet stuffer. This linebacker unit is good. Defensively, also number 10, Denzel Burke, 3-year starter, started almost every game he's been able to play as a Buckeye, including the first game in a Buckeye uniform against Minnesota in 2021. He's working himself into being possibly a top 10 first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft because of how well he's played this year.
Yeah. And I will say it's a shame that this series has been played so few times. The last time they played was last year, of course, but prior to that was the 2016. It was the 2016 Fiesta Bowl, and I believe it was in 06 as well in the BCS era. And I know that you guys were able to beat Notre Dame in the 90s, but unfortunately, y'all had the Michigan-itis that year, in those 2 years.
Yeah, I was hoping you didn't bring that up. I don't like talking about those games and those abnormal period in Buckeye football history, but you're correct. 2022, they had a game in 2016, the Fiesta Bowl in 2006 as well. Glendale, Arizona, then Tempe, Arizona. And the other 4 times these two schools have played were in South Bend and Columbus, and then South Bend and Columbus, 1996 and 95, and then 1936 and 1935. Very odd way to look at two schools that I do believe are less than 300 miles apart, that they've only played, which now would have been their 8th time playing, and they've only played in 2. Well, now this would be the 3rd home series. The sport, college football as a whole, deserves to have this happen more often. Do you want it to be like the old school Oklahoma, Nebraska? Cool, great, get it every year. Do you want it to be like the old school Nebraska, Colorado? Bring it back. The old school Georgia, Clemson? Bring it back. We want these things happening for us every single year. If there was a way for this to be now Notre Dame wouldn't say this because, I mean, they play USC every year. They are now having a weird ACC schedule, and so they got away from playing Michigan and Michigan State and Purdue every year. Now they're playing Clemson, Florida State, some of the ACC schools on a rotating cycle. Forget all that. Forget the Wolverines. Forget the Boilermakers, the Spartans. Buckeyes, Notre Dame, I do believe is one of those that the sport deserves to have every year. 2 of the blue bloods in the sport, 2 of the most prestigious programs, 2 programs. When you look at their coaches, you know them by name, you know them by face. You don't know that about every school. Just make it happen. If you want to be neutral site, cool, great. Lucas Oil Stadium is not that far away from either school there. If you don't want it at Lucas Oil, Cincinnati's there, a little bit closer, drive for both. It can happen. I don't think it will, man. These people that are at the top of the sport don't want things that make sense to happen because it might not fit their agenda.
You know, to your point about the neutral site games, I wish every year we had like a Lambeau Field opener, kind of like how we did 2016. I'm like, why isn't this annual? I don't get that.
So the neutral site thing is weird to me because I'm always going to be a person that believes games that are on campus are always the better atmosphere and better for the sports at the neutral site. I understand why Lambeau Field or where I used to live in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. I understand why these local areas, once you have colleges coming in, it's better for your economy. It's better for the schools to play at a different venue, things of that nature. But I am always going to be I'll change that. Texas Oklahoma was played in the Cotton Bowl Stadium there in Dallas, the Texas State Fair. I am fine with that one being a neutral site. Generally, I am more on campus, but that's one of the ones that I'm comfortable keeping. Alabama Auburn used to play in Legion Field, and then people that were a part of the schools started to complain. Now they play on campus. Sometimes I enjoy the beginning of the season kind of neutral site stuff. I would have preferred for LSU Florida State on that Sunday night to not be played in Orlando Camping World Stadium, but to be either played in Death Valley or in Austin. But that's just my preference because I just do believe the on-campus experience and game day experience is way better than a game Sunday, Labor Day weekend in Camping World Stadium in Orlando.
Yeah. I mean, it's really fun to see a lot of these home and home games and a lot of the neutral site games. But what's something Ohio State needs to do to win on Saturday? What's something they got to do? The keys to victory.
I start, and I always generally start with the win the battle in the trenches, but I want to go a little bit different, a different path than normal for me. They got to be able to keep and have a balanced offense. Now, that may be a little generic and say, oh, Jay, you're trying to throw darts. Oh, wow, you got this one here. No, this is legit. The Buckeyes, if they want to be able to slow down, to move the ball offensively and have a key to victory, a balanced offense is key. One of the things I've been wanting more is for number 19 Tip Trainum to get more touches, to get the ball more as a running back. He's been more of a backup role for the Buckeyes right now. Trevion Henderson has been the starter through 3 games. I think Tip Trainum is going to be the guy down the stretch that could be more of your home run hitter, better between the tackles. You can do in the tackles or outside the tackles. Be able to be a little shifty. You can play a little fullback as well. You got to be able to have a balanced offense. I would love to say the Buckeyes are going to rush for over 200 yards or between 170, 150 to 175. I would love to come out here and say that. I can't. I don't know. They've been okay, not up to the standard, but okay against lesser opponents. The real test is going to be Saturday. How well do you run the ball? I believe Kyle McCord will be fine. Harrison Jr. will be fine. Abuka will be fine. I believe Fleming and Stover and G. Scott Jr., maybe even Joe Royer, another tight end. I believe the skill weapons, the skill positions will be fine. On the outside, my stuff is what's going on behind the line of scrimmage, lining up 6 to 8 yards behind the quarterback. How, or maybe alongside him in a shotgun set. How are you? How does Ryan Day, how do Brian Hartline, how do the coaches on the offensive side of the ball for the Buckeyes, how do they use the running backs? Because if they're going to come out and just sling that thing all around the yard and not really get the running backs involved, that's a recipe for success for the Irish defense to slow down the Buckeyes offense.
Well, I was looking at the stats on the first down on offense. So Notre Dame is first in first downs on offense, and Ohio State is 44th. A little nervous.
I mean, it can be. There's been struggles. The numbers are what the numbers are. But that doesn't – I don't believe that tells the total picture. Because there's 3 games, and the third game was a whole lot different than the first 2. It may tell you the total picture for the whole season so far. I don't think it's a good way to kind of predict what's going to happen down the road because of how early we are in the season. I like to look at football, and the college football season makes math in my head work very well. I break that into quarters, 3, 6, 9, 12. There are 4 quarters in a game. There are 4 quarters in a regular season for a college football team. So we just finished the first quarter of the season for Ohio State, the first 3 games. We have an idea about what they might be. We have an idea about what they need to work on. We know about how Ryan Day is coaching, and we have an idea about some things, but that's just an idea. Going forward, games 4, 5, and 6, we're going to get a better picture about what the Buckeyes offense, defense, special teams, coaches will be and can be this season. Game 3 was different than games 1 and 2 for the Buckeyes offense. So as good as it has been for Notre Dame, the Buckeyes, I think, found something a week ago, and that number I do think will go up over the next few weeks. That's only if what I think I saw a week ago in the shoe continues to happen Saturday in South Bend and post-bye week as well.
So basically, in some of these responses to the stats, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because this is the month of September.
Oh man, you got it. You got it. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Exactly. It is a month of September. It's so early. There's been numerous seasons in NFL, college football, where you get a team that starts off 4-0, 5-0, maybe even 6-0. Then there's a decline. And you get people that hop on these trains and these bandwagons saying, I believe in that school. I believe in that guy. All of a sudden, what are you finding? Well, the team you believed in had early season success, fool's gold success, not sustained success. And so you're correct. It's so early, a lot can change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just ready for this game to go on Saturday. It'll be fun. Something I wanted to go over a little bit. Now, this was something I saw from Urban Meyer. He wasn't too happy about the non-conference schedules of Georgia and Michigan. Personally, I liked what he had to say about it because, he's worried about it being soft. Everybody having a soft non-conference schedule. But what do you think, Jay?
So the non-conference scheduling for college football is one of the oddest things that I would have to try to explain to someone that does not know the sport. Think about this. Ohio State played Virginia Tech in 2014. I think it was a 2013, 2014. No, 2014, 2015. They had a home and home there. First game was in Columbus. The other one was in Blacksburg. What do you find? I don't know exactly when that game was, the contract was put together, but my guess was that was put together in 2004, 2003, when Ohio State was a different school, when Virginia Tech was a different program. 2014, 2015, they were not what they were 10 years prior. For Georgia and Michigan, I understand you want to kind of project out a little bit. You don't get a pass for the abysmal and embarrassing non-conference slate you guys have put together. I would hope that would have been nice if Georgia and Clemson could find a way to get away from themselves, be some good adults, the adults in the room make some good decisions, and get that rivalry going once again every single year. Now, do you not want to play it week one? I understand when I wanted to play your biggest rival week one. How about you make it week two, week four? Find a way to incorporate that rivalry into your schedule. Got it once. I want to see it more often. I just don't know if that's going to happen. But this is something that in college football I think we're going to see more of, with there not being a preseason. And ultimately, when you go to a 12-team playoff, you might find more schools go to the super weak, embarrassing non-conference slates because you kind of get a preseason early. I mean, I have my own thoughts about Jim Harbaugh. Used to be the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I've been a fan my entire life. So I grew up, had to come back, all that stuff. Harbaugh did something smart last year, and I don't like saying that about the man, but he did something smart last year during the non-conference slate. Had a quarterback battle that went into the regular season. Ultimately, he said, Cade McNamara, you start week one. J.J. McCarthy, you start week two. You play the entire game. Whoever we feel gives the team the best opportunity to be the most successful on offense, that's going to be QB1. Ultimately, J.J. McCarthy won the job. Cade McNamara has since transferred to Iowa, which is as odd as it sounds. But that was one thing that Jim Harbaugh could utilize to his advantage due to the weak non-conference slate. I wouldn't be shocked if more schools start doing this. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Because until the people in charge decide to formulate some type of preseason, you're going to continue to see this. You're going to see more schools do this. Now, Ohio State over the next few years is going to have Texas. They had a home and home with Washington, but with Washington joining the Big Ten, that's went away. They have a home and home with Alabama, have a home and home with Oregon. I want to say they have one with Georgia and Boston College. Now I'm projecting 10, 12, 15 years down the road, these things are going to happen, which also goes into talking about how weird this sport is, that you're scheduling things 10 years in advance when you have no idea what Ohio State or Boston College, what Ohio State or Alabama or Ohio State or Oregon are going to be when those home and home series is played.
Well, I do have a suggestion that will stop some of the easy non-conference scheduling. Make the FCS versus FBS games the spring games. That way, everybody gets their money.
So my hesitation with that, you're going to have a lot of guys at the FCS level that can't compete physically with the guys at the FBS level. And if you do that, it's a great way for you to ramp things up. Yeah, coaches can see guys playing more of the game type setting, all of those things. I'd be concerned about injuries.
Right.
I'd be more comfortable with the G5 Power 5 kind of thing to where, say, the MAC and the Big Ten, two mainly Midwestern conferences decide to say, hey, we're going to match up. Spring game, Ball State, Indiana. Ball State's in Muncie, Indiana. Indiana's in Bloomington, Indiana. How about you guys do a spring game type game? Here's another issue with that. Some of your guys that are second, third string guys will not get a lot of run in those games because the coaches cannot dictate how the games are played. Because, hey, if you want to have a script of 12 plays offensively, then bring in another quarterback. Well, you can't really do that if you're trying to really battle it out and win. Now, granted, for you and I, talking heads here, you have a show, I got some shows. It'd be great stuff to talk about. Imagine. Ball State, stay right there, ends up playing UCLA. UCLA has Carson Steele, the Ball State transfer. Let's just say they happen to meet in a spring game, and Ball State ends up beating UCLA in the spring game. Dude, we're talking about that for a long time. Like, oh, are the Ball State Cardinals going to make some noise in the fall? What's wrong with UCLA? That's going to give us more things to talk about the offseason. But if I'm Ryan Day, or if I'm Marcus Freeman, or if I'm any college football coach, I would much rather play somebody who is G5 level than at the FCS level. My brother actually played football at the FCS level at Butler University in Indianapolis. Those guys physically cannot handle the Power 5 level. My brother was one of the better guys on the team, won some awards and things like that. But most of the guys on his team, if it were Butler University versus Indiana, if it were Butler University versus Iowa, or Butler University versus whatever Big Ten school, there's a sizable difference in athlete, physically, speed-wise, athleticism between that level of FCS versus Power 5 level there. So, in theory, it may be, to me, it may be a good idea. I don't see a way these FCS coaches will accept it. Yeah, you want to get a big payday, $1 million, 1.5, cool. But at the end of the day, it's the best move for your school, physically for your team. You don't want to go into that game, and all of a sudden you lose three or four guys for months, and now you're trying to work in the offseason with your backup, who is nowhere near as good as your starter, because you scheduled a game in the spring against a Power 5 school, as an FCS school, and physically you guys just couldn't handle it.
Well, I'll say this. This situation sounds like there needs to be a meeting between all the fans of college football and all the coaches and former players where we can have like a reasonable agreement that satisfies the Power 5 schools, the Group of 5 schools, and the FCS schools.
I think that the idea to help all three is completely different than what the fans would want and what the coaches would want. The coaches want to protect the players. And I don't care if you're Ryan Day, if you are the head coach of the Ball State Cardinals, or if you're the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs football program. Your number one job is to prepare your team for the football season, for the game that's in front of you that week, but also to protect your guys and believe in your guys. I think it would also be hard. I keep stuttering over some thoughts here. It'd be hard to get 5 college football fans that agree on this topic. 5 of them. I'm not saying 100 or 200 or 5,000. It'd be hard to get 5 college football fans to agree on this topic, because I do believe there should be some type of preseason, not spring game preseason, August preseason. Maybe you have Labor Day weekend. Okay, great. That's week 1. Maybe you have week 0. Cool. Well, before week 0, play some type of preseason game. Is it going to be against another Power 5 school? Cool. Is it going to be against a G5 versus Power 5? Whatever it is, figure it out and schedule it. But also, here's another weird thing about the sport. Didn't know this was going to come out today, but I heard Joel Klatt say it on a recent radio hit he did, and I've been saying this for years as well. You won't get uniformity in this sport at the FBS level until there is a governing body. If the Big Ten has a preseason, the Pac-12 does, well, whatever is left of the Pac-12. The Big 12 does not. The SEC does not. Well, Big Ten coaches might be like, why are you putting our guys through more scrutiny, more physical harm than the other schools? Because they're not doing it is not really benefiting us. Our guys are getting hurt. So why are we doing this? And I think the ideal way to get some type of preseason as uniform in nature is to get a governing body. If it's the NCAA, cool. I don't care if it's the NCAA or not. They govern FCS, D2, D3. Do a great job of it. Like, people knock the NCAA for a lot of things. They do a lot of good stuff with running these sports on all football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, whatever the sport is. They do a pretty good job of running the sports, pretty good job of putting on good tournaments, pretty good job of making lots of money every single year. But yeah, man, it'd be hard to kind of get anything that's uniform in nature amongst all of the P5, G5 conferences until there is the governing body ruling all of them. Not sure when that'll happen. That should have happened decades ago. But you see where we are now. This sport's a mess.
Yeah, I mean that is something that'll probably get figured out for sure. I will say week 4 is looking pretty fun. So besides Ohio State and Notre Dame, Bama, Ole Miss, there's Iowa, Penn State, and then there's the Pac-2 battle between Oregon State, Washington State. I mean, they were left for dead in the desert by everybody in the Power 5. And they're going to show the nation a thing or two about what they left behind.
So think about this. You mentioned Oregon State, Washington State. You mentioned, would you say Iowa and Penn State? Was that what you said? I'm trying to go through my note. First off, I've never in my life made Iowa football appointment television unless they're playing Ohio State. So as much as they're playing Penn State, the game is on CBS in prime time on Saturday. I'm not making that appointment television. I don't really care about Iowa football. Also, the Buckeyes are playing at that time. It's me personally, my personal opinion. It's the Hawkeyes. Punting is cool. Punting is good. I don't want to say punting is winning. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. So, no, just me there. But honestly, like, you get Colorado and Oregon Saturday on ABC. Oregon's big-time favorites in that game. 3 touchdowns by some sports books. I want to see what Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, Shedeur. I want to see what those guys do against Oregon. I don't know if they're going to win or lose. I have no idea. But they believe they'll win. They believe that they have been putting the time in, the work in to win that game. Let's see what happens. But there's another one. This I think another thing I learned from Joel Klatt recently. Cincinnati and Oklahoma play on Saturday. It's big noon kickoff, big noon Saturday, and I believe it's Cincinnati's first Big 12 game. Oklahoma's really good this year. Nippert Stadium's also a really good place to watch the football. Haven't been there, but from what I see on the television, I need to make a trip a couple hours away to Cincinnati, Ohio, to watch the Bearcats play the football. That is one of those games there where if you're a Big 12 football fan, watch it. Make that appointment television. You also got Florida State and Clemson. Florida State should win that game easily. Clemson's not what I thought they were going to be. You got UCLA and Utah, 3:30 Eastern time. All these times are Eastern on Big Fox.
It's
but
scary.
we talked about this earlier before we started. Ole Miss, Alabama, 15-13. First off, let me get this off my chest. I do a top 25 poll every week for the Locked On Podcast Network, and I have been very, very generous to the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're not playing like they're a top 15 team in the country. Ole Miss could very well go down to Tuscaloosa and win this game. You might not like hearing that. A lot of Alabama fans might not like hearing that.
Bama Nation needs to hear it.
Realistic.
I mean, I was like, why were we even in the top 15?
Could have
we
2
didn't
losses
even play
in
like
September.
A top 15. We played a dung heap.
No, not at all.
We played a dung heap South Florida team. Like, we barely won that game. The fact of the matter is, we got lucky against a team that hadn't had more than 6 wins since 2018. I mean, I'm glad we got knocked out of the top 10, honestly. I think if that were me, I'd knock him out of the top 15. I'll tell you who's more deserving of the top 10. That, my friend, is Utah.
Utah, UCLA, and I am going to be making a trip on Saturday morning. Hopefully, I believe my wife and I will be back by that time. And this game here, Carson Steele, UCLA running back. I mentioned Ball State Cardinals earlier in the show. Didn't know it was going to come back in this show here. But Carson Steele, Indiana Mr. Football. The only offer he had out of college was to Ball State. Not far from where he grew up in high school, down there in the southern portion of Indianapolis, down there in Greenwood. Played a couple years at Ball State, transferred to UCLA. And this guy, to me, you might not have heard about his name. You'll definitely know who he is at the end of the game. Carson Steele, I think he stands about 6'2", 225. Solid running back. Utah's good. If UCLA wants to have a chance to win this game, Carson Steele might be a guy to just let him get the rock, let him run that thing, and let him do what he does very well. I've loved watching him play. Saw the young man play in high school. Talented young man. Had a couple injuries, which really set him back in his recruitment. But man, it's so many good games, man. My 3:30 will probably be, or 3:30 Eastern mid-afternoon will probably be Alabama and Ole Miss. But if I get the chance to flip the channels every now and then, I'll definitely be checking out Carson Steele and the UCLA Bruins versus the Utah Utes on Big Fox.
Oh man, with this amazing college football slate that we got on Saturday, I feel like I'm getting an early birthday present.
Oh, dude, that's what we live for. My birthday's in June, towards the end of June. This is maybe as close as what a fall birthday present might be for myself. I mean, sit down, college game day in the morning, get a little football on in the afternoon, Buckeyes Notre Dame at night. Our food, I say my, it's not really mine. Our food, game food of choice is always tacos, street tacos, get a little steak, a little pork. Get some good stuff there for you, man. So I'm looking forward. Man, what is this, Thursday evening? I'm looking forward to Saturday because just the food alone is going to be good. The drink's going to be good. The ball game's going to be good. Hope for a Buckeye win as well.
Oh, man. Will and D says, I can't wait to watch Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Oh, man, the hot seat bowl.
Oh, gosh, man, that's a doozy, isn't it? That's one thing that if you're going to sit there and make that appointment television, more power to you.
Mike Gundy's like, I'm a man. I'm 56. Okay. South Alabama. That's what they do.
Right. Bye.
Oh, man. I can't imagine Oklahoma State Nation being very happy with them. They are not.
No, not at all. Not at all. His time may be coming to an end here soon. But no, not at all.
I wonder who they'd find as a new head coach. I mean, that's going to be tough.
No. Garrett Riley's going to be a name. It's going to be people are going to try to go after him a lot. You got to find a guy that's, I would say first try to get somebody that's not so much experienced in head coaching. That's a good track record of recruiting, because I think people say that recruiting is everything. It's a big piece of the pie. But if you can recruit, you can bring guys in that can develop the players, and maybe you lack in the development category. But it has to be somebody who's really good at recruiting. Also someone who can relate to different people from every walk of life. That's pivotal as well.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Riley at Oklahoma State. I gotta tell you, that would be an awkward family dinner where it's like, hey, Lincoln, I coached at your former school's rival, Oklahoma State. Dad, who do you like more, Lincoln or Garrett? And the mom's like, we love you both. And the dad's like, Garrett's the better one.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like, that does make things a little awkward around the family dinner on Thanksgiving time. Think about who was it? Mrs. Kelsey. When the Eagles and Chiefs were in the Super Bowl, she's excited. She's like, hey, these are my babies. I got a jersey on for both of them at the same time. I'm excited for them. And I'm like, hey, yeah, Dad may not feel the same way. He might, but he might not. No, if I was a dad in that situation, man, I'd be excited. I mean, my boys are doing things they love, which also allows them to have a really good, be very comfortable financially, and rivalry or not, like, those are your kids, man. You be excited for them, be happy for them, and always support them in their careers and things that they want to do. So yeah, like all jokes aside, I'm sure Dad would be happy for both boys.
Right. You got a compliment on your beard, Jay, from L. Whitney M. As she says, this guy has a great beard.
That's a good woman right there. She knows a good beard when she sees one.
Well, I hope I grow a beard one of these days. Like I'm not at that point yet, but I'll get there.
Yeah, man, just let it grow. Don't touch it for a few weeks, month, force. I'm sorry, don't touch. I used to not touch mine for a long time, and then I don't know, just happened. I didn't have a beard like this for months, for years. And then I was like, oh, let me actually try to let this thing grow. And here we go. Now I am not. I have no plans to cut it. Don't want to touch it. Want to get fuller, but yeah, man, no, the beard is it's a staple of mine.
Yo. Well, I mean, I tried growing a beard a few times, and I was like, okay, this feels itchy. I got to get rid of this stuff. It's itchy. It is scratching my face.
Got to get past that itchy stage, man. Got to get past it. Let it just itch for a few days. Try to find something to soothe and ease the irritation, and then once you get past that part, it's smooth sailing. I still have times where mine itches occasionally, but it's not so annoying or maybe unbearable. So I just let it ride.
There you go. Well, I'll probably start off with the Alex Trebek mustache, see if that works for me.
Hey, whatever you got to do, man. Whatever you got to do, make a statement for yourself. That's a good way to do it.
That's the way to go. But I will say, though, what did you think about like the Browns Steelers on Monday night? What was your takeaway from that?
So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch the game. I had some work responsibilities that didn't allow me to watch that one, and so trying to make a grand takeaway from that, even in like a back-ended way of catching the game, I just can't do it. I will say this, I am one that when it comes to commenting about games, I try, if I don't watch the game, I try to be able to watch things on YouTube or listen to people, but I really try to provide analysis with things that I have seen, not just things that I've heard or read. So that's kind of my reason why on this, like, I'm just gonna take politely take a back seat just due to my inability to watch the game on Monday night.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it, and I saw Deshaun. He was pretty mad at the referee. Like, what did the ref do to you, man?
Was it a bad call? Or were they just not calling?
I'm thinking it was some of the calls. I'm not sure, but I watched a little bit of it. But I know that TJ Watt, he had a great night that night. So that he had a pretty good night.
He is a dog.
Oh man, he's amazing. I mean, that AFC North is stacked.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I'm still just kind of like shocked that the Bengals are 0-2 right now. But again, I really wouldn't say it's time to panic. But if they're 0-3, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you can overcome 0-3. You can overcome 0-4. It's just really, really, really hard with how talented the talent is in the NFL.
Yeah, and well, before it's getting close to that time, and before we wrap the show up, for those who don't know where to find you, where can they discuss Ohio State football with you if they want to find you?
Well, on Saturday night at the conclusion of the game, there'll be a live post-game show on the Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page. So be a regular show, 35 minutes at the conclusion of the game. You'll get my thoughts. You get my instant reaction to the game. Hoping for a Buckeyes win. I don't think they'll win, but I'm hoping for a Buckeyes win in that game. And so search Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube and hit subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when every show goes live. And then follow me on X at jsteven07.
There we go. Got the threads, got the Instagram, got the Twitter/X. I still call it Twitter because it's like, what can I say?
I just eventually made the switch to calling it X on shows. I think on the outside of shows, I do call it Twitter still, because the average person, if you say, "Well, I'm on X," what is X? No, it's formerly known as Twitter. Well, when did it change? When Elon Musk ended up making it shortly, he changed everything. Well, why did he change it? Nobody knows. Where did X come from? I have no idea. So I in public, I still call it Twitter. Out on the street, on shows though, when I'm doing something daily or consistently, I generally just refer to it as X, because a lot of viewers or listeners do know about Twitter or X. Maybe they're on it or they know somebody that is.
Well, I'll be definitely looking forward to the Locked On Buckeyes post-game host, or I'll call it the Locked On Buckeyes. Because as I called it on Twitter today, when I was posting about Locked On Buckeyes and Locked On Irish, I called it the Ohio State and the Notre Dame.
Oh, the in front of Notre Dame. That's being generous. That's being really nice to the people in South Bend, Indiana, that are about an hour and a half away from me, north of where I currently am. Really nice of you to do that. Buckeye fans, most of them, but I'll be nice to them. Like, they're a good fan base. I just don't think I don't know. It's weird saying the in front of Notre Dame when that is exclusively for the Ohio State University.
I love, because I love it when the Buckeyes are saying we're the Ohio State. I'm like, that's pretty cool. You call yourself the Ohio State. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. You gotta love it.
That is for sure. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, click notifications on the bell. Now we'll catch you next time on another episode of the Jacksonian, where you can find more instant reaction clips on this channel. Stay tuned.